maybe I'll just use this. Good evening. My name is Okezie Ofoegbu, from Nigeria, Africa. Thank you. All right. So before I start, there's a joke we tell in Nigeria. It's an interesting joke, but I think it's somewhat sad. It's a sad joke about a government official when the colonialists were handing over power. They were taking the officials to the colonial master's place to show them how to govern, self-governance and learn all of that. So this particular minister or commissioner of works was introduced to the commissioner or minister of works in some foreign land. And the minister from the foreign land showed the commissioner from Africa, from my home country, here's this bridge, we built it, and 10% of it, I got it. And then he showed him a road and said, see this wonderful road, we built it, 5% of it, I got it. 2 years later, the minister invited the foreign minister from wherever, I'm not going to name the country, to come to Africa, and then he showed him a wide river and said, there's a bridge across this river, 100% of it, I got it. And then he took him to a forest and said, there's a road through this forest, 100% of it, I got it. All right, let's go with the slide. I want to talk today about one of the reasons why a continent like Africa has so many resources, so much wealth, and yet so many poor people. And I tell that story because the stereotype is that corruption is the reason why Africa is so poor. And if you could just do away with corruption, you will fix the problem. But I think what I want to share with us today is that it's a little bit more nuanced than that. And I'm going to start by describing the continent, what's going on, and then explain my own perspective. Yes, of course, there's the issue of colonialism, but there are deeper issues that are driving what's going on. Africa is a fairly large continent. It's a place to 1 billion people, and it makes it the second most populous continent in the world today. There are 50 countries on the continent of Africa, as different as 50 states of America. It's not one country, like sometimes people think. In my own country, there are actually 250 different tribes in one country, Nigeria, where I come from. 30% of the world's resources are in Africa. 65% of the world's diamonds come from Southern Africa, and 60% of the world's uncultivated land is presently in Africa. It's vast in resources, yet it's still relatively poor. By GDP, you can see North America is 30 times greater than Africa. Meanwhile, Africa is 3 times in population than North America. So the land that is filled with resources has lots and lots of poor people. Take my home country, Nigeria. We are the 4th or 5th largest producer of crude, but we import all our petrol, all our gasoline, all our kerosene into the country. So why is this the case? I think there are 3 reasons. The first reason is the way transactions or deals were done in Africa in colonial times. Colonial deals were focused on extracting rather than creating value on the continent. So this reduces the earning power of people. This causes people to focus on exporting those resources, and there's no creation of value. And the truth of the matter is that the higher paying jobs are not in digging the minerals out, they are in creating value to the minerals that you have dug out. Aid and lending does not produce growth. I usually tell the story that the chocolate bar that you buy here in the United States for, say, $3, the cocoa farmer is only paid 30 cents for it. And so when you lend him money, he's going to borrow to buy this chocolate bar that he put only 10% of his input is his reward. And then the third and final point that increase poverty in Africa is then we fight for the resources. We then grab 100% instead of taking 10% like the foreign guys would take. So yes, corruption and conflict cause poverty, but underlying all of these are just the way the people relate with each other, the fact that we are not creating value, we are focused on the resources, and we are not having high-end workers in place. And Africa is not alone. There are several other parts of the world that face the same issues. If you're a resource-rich country and you're focused on just exporting your resource, your people will be poor. It's just the fact of the matter. But this also gives hope. I remember a friend who told me in high school or in college that pain shared is agony reduced. So the fact that we have so many people who have this problem means there's hope for Africa. Finland is a classic example. Finland used to be poor because they only exported their timber until they figured out a way to start creating technology to enhance timber exports. And today, they are one of the leading exporters of that technology. And their wealth and their poverty level has gone down and their wealth has increased. So where do we go from here? Number one, we can't just stick to the stereotypes. Corruption is key, but it's not the only thing. Conflict is there, but it's not the only thing. There are mindsets that need to be changed. And what are some of the things we can do? I'll end with this. I think that we should make efforts to visit Africa and see that there's a young girl somewhere in the forest of Africa who can actually use a laptop, but she needs help. I think that a school like this can encourage STEM exchange, where you have people from Africa coming in to acquire skills in science, technology, engineering, and maths, and then they can take that skills back to add value to their resources. And finally, I think that we can all be advocates for more than aid, but also trade. And here's why. Whenever you have the chocolate that is not made in Africa, you may be contributing to the poverty, because only 30% of what you paid for it actually went back to Africa. 90% of it went to a rich country somewhere else. So we can help. How? Advocating for more Africans to be involved in skills acquisition, advocating for trade, not just aid and lending, and actually visiting the place and getting to meet the people. Thank you.